When the Dutch pulled out of the East Indies after World War II, the new state of Indonesia claimed all of their former colonies, including the territory of West Papua. Ever since, in the face of state repression and international indifference, West Papuan activists have been locked in a life-or-death struggle for independence. People and Power has been to find out why.
West Papuans call this song The Cry. It is both a welcome to visitors and a lament for those who have died in their long fight for independence from Indonesia. It's a song they are desperate for the world to hear. This struggle stretches back 50 years. It is one of the most forgotten conflicts in the world. West Papua may form half of the second biggest island on Earth, but it is largely unreported because Indonesia effectively bars both human rights organizations and foreign media from entering. We are flying in undercover as birdwatching tourists. Our guides here will be the West Papuan National Committee, or KNPB. Their recent emergence as a non-violent mass protest movement has given important momentum to resistance to Indonesian rule. After landing, my colleague Sally and I are texted to follow the man who touches our arm. He takes us to a safe house in the capital Jayapura to meet Victor Yemo, the 29-year-old chairman of the KNPB. In recent months there has been a crackdown on independence activists and Victor has gone into hiding. So it is a surprise to find him on the phone to one of the men looking for him.
This is the calling from the head of police for Jaipur area. I don't know, they have known about our agenda that we want to go to the Wamena. I just changed for 2 weeks ago to 3, but they have known my phone, I don't know why. So they monitor my communication to my friends.
So do they always tell you when they know your activities?
Yeah, they already know. They know my phone and they call directly. You don't have to do that because we want like this. So that's why sometimes I move to one place to another place because they monitor my position, my communication with another friends.
That we may not be able to meet the armed wing of the resistance in Wamena is less worrying than that our cover may already have been blown. But Victor doesn't seem too fazed about the police being onto him.
I just put my friend outside, so as I walk here, and then if information came to me in the night, close my laptop and go behind from here and then to the jungle.
But as we leave the safe house, we see that the police are in fact closing in. Our driver quickly swerves us out of sight.
So what just happened?
Yeah, police came to here and then they have known about our position today. So they came from up and they just want to close the access. Kita bisa lewat ini? Kita lewat di bawah saja. Kita lewat di bawah saja. Langsung palang di depan jadi. And they have blocked us in front of here. So they have now my position, so I have to make my mobile off first.
What should we do?
Yep, we should stay here for some minutes and we'll look for some access to go out.
Victor has good reason to be anxious. 6 months earlier, his predecessor as KNPB chairman, Marco Tabuni, was shot dead by the Indonesians. Failing to locate Victor, the police leave and we drive on, down the road where Marco Tabuni was killed.
Marco Tabuni is standing over here, talking with friends here, and then they came suddenly and then they shoot him and they kill him here. And body of Makotabuni found here. You see. And then they take him and go away. This is the post of military. After this, they shoot the Makotabuni, they build up new post here.
The security forces claim that Tabuni was armed. Eyewitnesses deny this, and 3 days later, Victor got an SMS.
I get the short message from them, like this. You see, Victor, we just want to say that this month we have killed Makotabuni, and next month you are the next target.
Marco Musa Tabuni was one of 22 KMPB members killed by security forces in the last year, the latest casualties in a struggle going back decades. When the Dutch decolonised the East Indies after the Second World War, the new state of Indonesia claimed all parts of the former empire. West Papua was the sticking point. Racially, religiously, culturally and linguistically different from the rest of Indonesia, the only thing the two had in common was being colonised by the Dutch.
There was a negotiation that was agreed between the US, the Dutch and Indonesia on the future of the territory. That agreement specified that Indonesia would administer the territory on the basis that the people would be provided a vote for self-determination under international law. That vote took place in 1969 after more than 6 years of Indonesian administration, during which time West Papuans were subjected to widespread violence, and the vote itself was conducted in breach of international law. Just 1,000 West Papuans were rounded up and were forced to vote under threat of violence.
In the infamously named Act of Free Choice, a handful of intimidated tribal leaders were forced to vote yes to Indonesian rule on behalf of a population of 800,000. It was nevertheless accepted by a shamefaced United Nations. West Papua duly became a province of Indonesia.
Since that vote, West Papuans have suffered all forms of human rights abuse, whether it be torture, enforced disappearances, killings, extreme restrictions on freedom of expression.
Such oppression has galvanized the armed resistance for 5 decades.
Military came when I chilled, came to my village, and they kill people just because they force people like you have to hold white red flag, Indonesian flag. If they don't sing an Indonesian national song, they killed in front of me. When I was chill, I see by myself. They shoot dead by Indonesian military in front of my eyes.
The death toll over the years is generally estimated to be in excess of 100,000, but no one really knows because of the tight lid Indonesia keeps on the place. With approximately 30,000 security personnel dealing with an indigenous population of around 2 million, West Papua is one of the most controlled places on the planet.
Because they have known our posts, they placed so many intelligence here. Look at this one. They are spying, monitoring all activity here. One of intelligence, kita harus kembali. This is the road to the place, but we have to back again. We don't have to use it.
What are you doing there, Hannah? What are you doing there, Hannah?
The police is over there. Our headquarters is over there. This one. This is one of the intelligence they on the bike.
As we drive to yet another safe house, Victor gets some new information.
This morning, there is gunfire between TNI and TPN at Wamena. There were 3 police shot dead by guerrilla.
This may explain why the security forces are so active today. Our cat and mouse game with them continues as we approach the 3rd rendezvous. When suspect cars overtake us, Sally and I are told to jump out.
We want to go through there, but there are police over there. Oh, this is still in city.
We head through bush to the back of another student dormitory. The KMPB have named it after an earlier anti-colonial struggle.
This is the Vietnam. We call Vietnam because we have inspired by them.
Since the KMPB was formed in 2008 as the peaceful civic arm of what had been a mainly armed resistance, its numbers have grown exponentially. It has bred a new generation of activists, focused on both organising non-violent mass protest and making the outside world more aware of their plight.
Many of journalists came to here and they banned and deported by Indonesian authority. This land is silent. We keep our suffering silent for a long years. So that's why we train by laptop with internet. Online we send out the message to the international so that international can give pressure and consent to West Papua.
The basic platform of the KMPB is that the act of no choice, as the vote of 1969 is known here, was illegal and a new referendum is needed.
United Nations and America, also Dutch government, they have responsible for their crime in 1969. They have cheated us. They have stolen our right of self-determination. Let us choose what we want, whether people of West Papua choose freedom or join with Indonesia. So give the space of self-determination to the people, what they want. Ask them.
In the past few years, we've seen a change in the security situation in West Papua. I think in response to the growing momentum behind their campaign for a referendum on self-determination, which has got widespread popular support, but also is gaining momentum internationally, that has resulted in a greater security crackdown on all peaceful activists who are in any way affiliated with the independence movement.
Kami selalu menyampaikan pendapat di depan umum, biasanya kami ditangkap, kami dibubarkan, kami ditembak, bahkan kami mati. Selama Indonesia tidak mau mengakui, tidak mau memberikan kesempatan kepada kami, KMPB tetap akan mediasi rakyat untuk melawan. Tidak ada jalan, kami hanya melawan sampai kalau tidak merdeka, kami harus mati semua.
She said to me that, oh, I have a flag, I want to show. Like if you use this flag to the public place, you will get arrested.
The West Papuan flag of independence, the Morning Star, was first flown in Jayapura in 1961. Doing so these days is not something the Indonesians forgive lightly. In 2004, this civil servant, Philip Karma, became one of Amnesty International's most prominent prisoners of conscience when he was sentenced to 15 years for simply raising the flag at a rally. It was the moment that turned Victor into an activist, a career which has so far cost him 3 years in jail on charges of treason. He is glad as we pass this new compound being built for BRIMOB, Indonesia's mobile brigade, to spot another openly defiant Papuan.
Brave men.
Standing outside BRIMOB with a West Papuan flag.
Yeah.
The Morning Star was first raised in 1961 outside this building, though there was no memorial to the occasion. Instead, the surrounding area is full of monuments Indonesia has put up to its takeover. This one even celebrates the act of free choice. And this figure of an Indonesian soldier borne aloft by tiny West Papuans seems about as colonial as statues come.
Indonesian make us look us like anyone in West Papua. We don't want it. We want good governance without corruption, without discrimination, without the apartheid.
Ideas of apartheid are particularly strong for the Reverend Socrates Yoman.
Ini anak saya. Anak saya ini namanya, coba sebut namamu.
Arnold Abnelson Mandela Yoman.
As an outspoken critic of Indonesian rule, Reverend Socrates keeps 18 dogs around his house in case of reprisals.
This is like my security, you know. They never sleep. 24 hours. We never pay them. Yeah? We not give them salary, but they understand us.
The Reverend is the author of several banned books about West Papua.
Ini buku pemusnahan etnis Melanesia yang dilarang oleh negara melalui kejaksaan. Orang Papua jadi guest on their own land. Lihat di jalan-jalan, seluruh jalan di jalan ini, orang Papua secara ekonomi itu siapa punya, toko-toko besar ini siapa punya? Ya, big buildings, luxurious building, ya, big shopping center. Economically, siapa yang dominate? Siapa yang mendominasi ini? Itu migran, itu Indonesia, bukan Papua.
Since the annexation, a government program giving economic inducements to Indonesians to migrate to West Papua has radically altered the demographics here. Before, the indigenous population was around 95%. Now it is less than half. This is especially obvious on the streets of Jayapura.
I mean, like, my people is minority here. So if you go around here, you just look immigrant from outside. I mean, like Indonesian. You cannot see West Papuan over here.
It's economics that has driven the Indonesian colonization. One of the curses of this land is its resources.
Freeport Gold Mine, which is the largest gold and copper mine in the world, is the largest contributor to Indonesia's GDP and is the largest taxpayer in Indonesia. West Papua is the largest tract of rainforest outside of the Amazon. There are a lot of illegal logging companies owned and operated by the military. And then, of course, there's natural gas reserves. BP has a large development.
But West Papuans say they see little of the money being made from their land. This remains Indonesia's poorest province.
The government always they promote, we give more money, trillion. But where is the money? Where's gone? Orang Papua semakin tersingkir, marginalized secara ekonomi, secara pendidikan. Orang Papua takut di negeri dan tanah mereka.
As if to back up Socrates' point, the next day we find the KMPB having to huddle in a clearing outside town in order to record a collective thank you to the Parliament of Guyana, which has just decided to support their cause. It's the first small step along the road to gathering international recognition.
Now the government of Guyana give hope to the people of West Papua to stand strong for their struggle for freedom.
The message is quickly sent off by internet. The rest of the meeting is spent planning for tomorrow, which is the anniversary of the first flag raising, and hence the big day in the protest calendar. This year, the aim is to play it as peacefully as possible.
Selama perbuatan pidana kita tidak buat, macam kasih naik bendera, bikin kacau, bawa alat tajam dan yang lain-lain, tidak ada. Orang juga tidak akan ganggu. Paling-paling orang akan tangkap setelah dari sana nanti kembali lagi.
The plan is to do a pilgrimage from where Marco Tabuni was killed to a prayer meeting at the grave several kilometres away of Tay Seliwe, another independence leader killed by the Indonesians. Victor tells us he will be coming out of hiding for the event.
After what happened to Marco Tabuni, are you scared for yourself?
Yeah. Every day I receive the messenger from the Indonesian intelligence, terror message. But I have committed to my heart with my friends that this is the road of revolution. Death, torture, arresting, we have to face it. That's the consequence of the struggle.
Yet Victor says that he doesn't think the security forces will arrest him in such a public space. As we find out when other members of the KMPB pick us up the next morning, this turns out to be a miscalculation.
Baru saja kami dapat telepon jam 10:35 bahwa Victor Remo ditangkap oleh polisi.
Apparently, the march only got a few hundred meters before security forces stopped it.
Langsung tiba-tiba dua mobil aparat keamanan datang mencegat kami gitu. Karena masih bersikeras baku bertentangan antara kami dengan pihak aparat, mereka sebelumnya mengeluarkan tembakan. Masa aksi mulai panik pada saat itu, langsung Ketua Umum KNPB ditangkap, langsung ada keluar tembakan sekitar 3 atau 4, sehingga masa mulai bubar. Kami semua lari, ada beberapa teman yang dipukul, ada yang disepak, tapi karena lari cuma ada sekitar 2 mahasiswa ditangkap sama Ketua Umum KNPB.
Road after road is now getting blocked by the security forces to prevent anyone else getting to the prayer ground. And then the heavens open to put a final damper on proceedings. When the roadblocks are lifted, it is too late. Like the world's worst gatecrashers, Indonesian officials have taken over the refreshment tables laid around Tay Seliwe's grave.
Lapangannya di sini. Kita mau melakukan itu di tempat ini. Ibadah. Untuk memperingati hari bersejarah itu kita mau melakukan di tempat ini. Namun yang sekarang melakukan di tempat ini kegiatan TNI Polri yang sedang melakukan kegiatan ini.
Victor is being held inside this police station, and we're getting the idea that news of our presence is spreading. We fly to Wamena and its surrounding highlands, one of the strongholds of armed Papuan resistance. Since the killing of the 3 policemen last week, military operations in the hills have cut off our access to the guerrillas. Instead, after a brief inquisition from the local police, we make contact with the area's branch of the KMPB. We are smuggled out of town to a nearby river. With the recent crackdown, Wamena itself has become too dangerous for the KMPB, and they have been forced to relocate to surrounding villages. There are spies everywhere, and we are being taken by water to avoid being seen by too many people. After an hour, we hear singing on the distant shore. Nothing communicates the plight of the Papuans to us more than the next song we hear, the cry. The village chief turns out to be one of the leaders who signed the Act of Free Choice.
Papua! Papua! Papua!
The villagers say that these days intimidation by the security forces is rampant.
In the night, they go the village and then looking for who is the activist, human rights or activist independent, to take and then kill. Right now, the situation right now.
The plea from all these people is for the world to take notice.
Kami berterima kasih kepada media Al Jazeera yang mana mempublikasi Papua Merdeka untuk dunia.
2 weeks after this interview, Hubertus Mabel, a founding member of the KMPB, is shot dead by the security forces. And minutes after he's spoken to us, lookouts report that police are approaching the village. We are quickly hurried into the bush and through the surrounding swamp. As night falls, Sally and I are told to wait in a thicket until a nearby police car disappears.
We were kind of quickly hurried out of there, and we've been walking through the jungle for the last hour or so, and we're currently getting eaten alive by mosquitoes.
After what seems an age, our guide Jimmy returns.
Do they know about me and Tom?
Yes.
The police?
Well, yeah, the police knows, but they just information. They didn't know your name and Sally, but I think yeah, God will save us. It's okay. Don't worry.
After another couple of hours trudging in the dark, motorbikes are found to take us back to Wamena. We book the first flight out, but get an unwelcome visit in the meantime.
So the police have just visited our hotel and questioned us pretty rigorously about our movements over the last couple of days. Apparently they did receive a tip-off about our visit to the village yesterday. He's written everything down and gone to report back to his chief, and we're just hoping that we'll be able to get out of here tomorrow first thing.
The next morning, we dump any equipment that doesn't fit our tourist cover, ignore the police car now stationed outside the hotel, and manage to fly out of West Papua with all of our footage safe. Later, we're relieved to learn that although he got a beating from the police, Victor was released a few hours after his arrest. But in the meantime, the weeping song continues.